Alright, we're getting back to it. I ate some pizza with my parents. It's 8 o'clock, so I'm gonna do one more, and then we're gonna call it a night. I'm just gonna quickly do this real quick. I'm gonna put some music. We're getting further. Look at this. All pages exist. There's no stubs needed. Wow. All right. Hit me with the next file in the questionnaire, please, and thank you. I don't know how you can possibly get 20 questions from this fucking... This is a short file. I don't understand how you got 20 something questions from that. We'll see. So there's actually going to need to be a head scale proxy API tool that gets built out for the doc though, not for the application. So it's like you can access it through the application, but the actual proxy API key, all that sort of stuff is going to live within the actual doc itself. So what you do essentially is you can actually take away stale nodes manually, but you would need to create new authorization keys for every single time that you make a new node. It's not like you can just reuse the same authorization key. You know what I mean? Like you just can't do that. At least as of yet. I don't know if there's ever going to be a thing in the future, but as of right now, you can't. Can't. So yeah, let's go ahead and mark that off. The pre-authorization keys are one-time use. But are you gonna make the ticket? Let's see if it makes the ticket. Yes, it's making it. I clap. Wait, what? The password is visible only for a split second. It exists in memory, then gets dumped. So it's not like a huge, I don't know what the -S is, the -S flag, but I know that you basically, for the tail scale up, I mean, currently there's a plist file that actually manages the actual state of that. So then it's like always up. But I guess after you log in, you have to actually, after you set the pre-authorization key and you actually claim it, you do need to turn it, you need to make it go up. So I guess, yeah, I mean, the user types in their password in the UI, in the setup process. You can actually look at the setup process for the local setup and you can see where that actually happens. I believe it's step 3 there. Just look it up to make sure before you add anything. Step 2, my bad. All right, why pull the head scale proxy? That, my friend, is actually due to the fact that the tail scale status does not update immediately. So if you've ever set up any other tail scale previously in there, it's gonna take it. Like, it's gonna say that it's like, it's gonna take the old IP address. It's not gonna update it with the current one. The entire architecture is built upon the naming convention used there. So that in itself is always going to be a thing. It would never not be that. It's enforced within the actual initialization of the doc itself, which sets the username for the actual doc node as well. Not just for the node, but the actual, it also sets the name for the actual username for the head scale username. Yes, it's using, but that particular app API key is for the proxy. That is it's very like, it's not it's non-destructive. So basically, all it has is RAID-only capabilities. Oompa doompa doompa dee doo. I have a something puzzle for you. How should the function handle cases where the auth key is empty and valid? There should be some error handling. I believe there's some already in there, but if not, there should be more robust error handling, but that will never be the case because the authorization key, the way that it's going to operate in the future, I still have to make this. This still hasn't been made, so maybe put a ticket because this is a thing that I'm going to be making soon. So I think give it a sec. Essentially, the way that it's going to be operated is through email, and there's going to be preset authorization keys. They would never receive a non-valid authorization key. So there's going to be systems for this in place where the entire thing is automated for ingestion, but there is going to be time limits on how long the actual validation or the pre-authorization key is valid for. So that is something that we need to prepare for in terms of error messages. Maybe some sort of token system where they can request another one if they were already sent something. Maybe something like that. But honestly, I think that I want to make it more secure by just not having that be a thing where they actually literally need to ask the person to send them the pre-authorization key again. But there's pre-authorization key creation systems that are going to be in place when we do the actual user management modules and all that sort of stuff. So that's a whole other section of code that we're going to work on, and a whole other set of systems, but that falls underneath that as well. This is all the shit that lives in my head fucking 24/7, literally. Does the function validate the login URL format before passing it to the tailscale command? Or does it rely on tailscale itself to reject the malformed URLs? Does the function validate, or with tailscale local setup, does the function validate the login server URL format before passing it to tailscale? The actual URL should never be malformed. I wouldn't understand why it would be, because it's hard-coded. The actual URL is always going to be that. That's the one that we're going to use. I mean, it's hard-coded. I don't know how it could possibly be malformed. Within the current code infrastructure there's nothing that actually touches or mutates the actual login server URL. It doesn't touch it. Just double check the code base for that, but I believe I'm right. Tailscale local setup. Oh, I can't wait to get into the fucking JSON and DB backend, to be honest. What happens during the sub-process timeout occurs during password entry or command execution? There is not a timeout parameter for that, and also that's something that we need to address within the actual... I think we need to address it here in Tailscale local setup, but then that way it can coincide with the local setup thread overall. So there has to be systems implemented for that to be able to receive that timeout as well. But yeah, we need to make it more robust for error handling there. BT280. Tailscale local setup. Why is the hostname collision avoidance suffix always 4 characters exactly? It was arbitrary because a 4-character number, I mean, it's one in 9,999 that it could be the same exact thing twice. So it's like, that's just because it's like, it's only a couple of nodes that are ever going to exist. So that's why I chose that one. It's like an arbitrary number. I just figured the odds are in favor of it not being that ever. So I think that's why I picked four characters. I mean, technically it could be more, and then also alphanumeric, and that would multiply it by 25 per character. But yeah, I mean, as of right now, that's the main reason why. It's 1 out of 9,999 for it to have a duplicate number. Maybe we should also add naming convention thing where it's like it checks to see if it exists already. If it exists, just add 1. Honestly, we could just do that instead, where it's just literally 1, and then after that it would, because it's always the username for the node. Oh no, wait, they can actually set their own username, their own host name. Fuck. Well, better be safe than sorry kind of a situation, I guess. Having some sort of 4-character thing. Also, we should put in a update for step 2 in the local setup process. I just thought about this. This is another ticket on the sidebar, where basically we need to update what the actual field says, because it says, I forget what the actual field says for the host name, but it should basically say, what is the name of this machine? Like that. Then that way it could be based on that and not like a username kind of a thing, because it's not like a username thing, it's like a node name. I think that would be more accurate for the naming conventions. But then still, I think that having the 4 characters is for like basically avoiding a match or like duplicates. I mean, that's the reason why I chose 4 characters though. We can make it contextual where it just actually reads what is available currently and then just adds one if it exists. Technically we do that. I think there should be 2 tickets. Also add to BT 281 where basically having something along the lines of maybe instead of the for this particular Tailscale local setup, where basically instead of doing 4 random characters, having it be the like read what is available, and if it's already something that's used, just add 1. You know what I mean? I think that might be a cleaner approach than just 4 random characters. Because then the naming conventions make sense, because it's not just arbitrary random numbers, it can confuse people. Even though they don't really see that on the front end, it's still something worth considering. Also, maybe adding for it to also add the username to the actual configuration file, the JSON configuration file, like the host name, having it added to the user configuration file where it's like for the application where it's like the local one, because I'm also creating Watchdog rsync systems, so I think that would honestly work well with that. Instead of sending like the IP address for the local machine, setting the actual node that it came from, so then it knows in relation to tail scale and head scale, because the dock does have the proxy availability for that head scale access too. So I mean, it's worth considering there too, just to add that for the last question that you asked me, not this one, but just in addition to the BT 281 as well. That would never be a thing. It's part of the default configuration file. I need more robust error handling for that sort of case. I haven't come across it yet in terms of an edge case, but totally possible, totally plausible. But then again, that's worth creating a ticket for. How does the function handle special characters in the hostname parameter? Are they sanitized or? Ooh, that's a good one. As of right now, they're passed as is, but I think there should be some sort of filter, some sort of limiting filter, maybe either an error message in the UI level or a filter that does not allow those characters to be pressed. I mean, I know dashes are good. I think underscores are bad potentially. I can't remember if they return some sort of error, but I know that head scale is a little weird about that with the tail scale nodes. I think so. In the ticket, I would put to test them first or do research on them first, because I'm sure that's documented. That has to be really well documented at this point. So basically, if it's documented, do research on it. If it says yeah, then you know that it's fine, then ignore it. But if it's not fine, then basically, you know, gotta fix it, put some sort of filter. Actually, can you look into that too before you add that? Then we can just make that decision right now, actually. I think underscores are not okay. I think it's dashes that are good. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yep, I agree. What happens if a proxy API returns a 200 status? Well, if it returns 200 status, I mean, there might be something going on with the actual server at that point. We need error handling for that. But honestly, if that's happening, if it returns a 200 status, isn't that because the server's down? Honestly, that needs to be some sort of error handling for that as well. Yep. And also after the fact. So if the user is, let's say during SSH utilities, that's another location for another ticket, where basically if the user is utilizing the tailscale connection method through SSH variables, then there should be some sort of error handling there for the... Oh wait, this is for the fucking doc. This is for the get doc node. I think then we should do some error handling for that. We need some robust error handling for this as well, please and thank you. We need to set a day to do that, figure that out. It should not default to an empty list ever. I mean, if it does, then we should have a way to like bypass that step if there is ever like a reason why the server is down like that. But if it's not, then there should never be a reason why that's down like that. That's server-side debugging, to be honest. That's not something you can... I mean, you can do error handling on this side, but that would be more server-side debugging as well. That's what that says. Alright, let me see. see what question we're at. Oh wow, we're close to finishing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 more questions? Dude, we're booking through this. Oh wait, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more questions. Not too bad. Why specifically filter the tail scale IPs with starting? That is the current default for all of the tail scale IPs associated with the head scale users. Like the nodes, like that's just what they all come back as. I don't know if there's another thing to look into on the server side in relation to editing that, but I think that once it's set on server side, I think that it always uses that 100.64 for the actual beginning of the IP address for the tail scale IPs. I believe that's settable. Yep. That's what I thought. Who knows their tail scale? Guess who taught themselves this shit? If a node is found but marked offline, that would be concerning because the node in question is the node that is currently that was just set up. So I don't know how that would actually be an edge case that is possible, because they can't even read it if it's offline. If it's reading that, then that means there was something way different that happened, and there's like a crazy edge case that occurred. I mean, yeah, that's worth considering, because you never know. If it's, I mean, there should be error handling for that where they can actually reset it. But to be honest, that should never be the case, because the IP is for the node that was just set. And if it wasn't just set, then, and if it's offline, then it's like a chicken or the egg situation again here too, because if the node is offline, how is it reading the fact that it's offline? That's the question there. I think for BT285, instead of it being offered a reset and re-register, I think it should be like a message to like look into your status, your internet locate, like your internet status or whatever the fuck, because there's something else happening there. Maybe offered a reset and re-register, but to be honest, then they would have to go through their system admin, which would be the doc owner. So yeah, I guess offer to reset and read register, but then it would have to go through the doc owner. You can't just do that arbitrarily. You need to have the owner actually send you the pre-authorization key. There's no way you can actually, unless this is the thing that we're discussing just now beforehand. On the other side of the other error message I got potentially for this, it's another ticket here, but we were discussing this just a little while back. where having some sort of system, some sort of token, some sort of something to be able to create like a one-time permission kind of a thing to create a node, but I don't like for like a pre-authorization key for a node. But then again, that negates the entire architecture of having the dock owner, which has a TPM chip inside, to be able to actually be the one that creates the node. What's the name of that program? My phone is not happy with my memory situation. I need to fucking do a memory dump soon. In which instance? Can you give me an example, please? It would never not resolve. Ah, yeah, okay. Because you can't hole punch. No, but you don't have to hole punch. Well, I mean, if they're on airplane Wi-Fi, then they have the entire internet blocked to them. Okay, That makes sense. Some sort of DNS block. Yeah, I can see that. There's no error handling for this currently. There should be a check for the actual proxy API. I mean, there should be a check before they actually do it, before they actually run. There should be some sort of check on the back end, I guess, where basically it's like in the setup tailscale IP, where basically it has like a little check in there. Maybe do a separate function, then call it inside of there, where basically it checks the actual API proxy website and makes sure that it's reachable. If it's reachable, then it's good to go. But it should still be reachable technically. Because, oh wait, no, because ultimately it's still reaching head scale and tail scale, and that's technically the hole punching. No, the hole punching itself is for between nodes. It's connecting nodes to each other. The actual head scale stuff lives on the live internet. It's HTTPS, and it's on a normal server. That's the only one that actually requires hole punching, but there should be some sort of like tail scale local setup error handling for that. Proxy reachability, yeah, that's solid. What is the rationale behind the 3-second entry interval? This is something that is just a default that I currently set. But honestly, I think there should also be some error handling revolving around this, because I don't think there's any currently. I think I just set a retry interval arbitrarily, but I haven't actually set some sort of error handling system for this as well. So this is another one that we have to do. That is actually a really valid question based off of the most recent addition to my Tailscale server coordination. So this is actually a valid concern. What if we tied it to the actual host name that was created instead of the actual IP address? Would that be better? Can you check it through like the host name itself? Because you already have access to the head scale node list for that user. So ultimately that would probably be the better way to go, because we already set up another ticket that has to actually ingest the host name that was created and put it in the configuration file, the JSON. So maybe if we utilize that instead of the IP address, I think that'd be cleaner. I think that was like a temporary scaffolding that was just working at the time, but this would be the better approach, to be honest, in relation to the direction this is all heading in the future. What timeout and free try strategy should be used on the initial request.get call with that? I need to think about for a minute. I mean, because here's the thing. If it's timing out, there is more server issues involved because there has to be something that is causing it not to be accessible. I mean, yeah, on one side you have the actual potential of the local connection being the problem, but then it's like we have to be able to debug that side of the equation before writing it off as a server issue. So we have to differentiate between the two of them, because then we can give the user valid feedback in relation to they have to fix something or do we have to fix something, right? So that's the two different types of error handling that would need to exist in that case, because we need to be able to differentiate, not just say a random kind of response regarding that, like where it's like not random but more generalized, because then it's like they don't know, you know, because if it's something they could fix now, then they could fix it. If there's something that they can't fix right now and it's something that's server side, then they know it's the service itself. I just thought of another way we can handle fucking derp. Oh, I just thought of something. I have a general question regarding this shit. Hold on. Before I answer that question, I have a general question regarding derp relay. Can you set the actual derp relay server by head scale user? Oh, if you can, that would be fucking, oh, let's go. Or do I have to build it? If you have to build it, that's fine, because I just thought of how you can possibly build it too. Wait. Even if you set up your own head scale server? Because can't you just technically like build the backend around that, where it's like if you receive it from a certain user name within the head scale usernames, that you can tie it to a specific derp relay server? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm aware that it's in relation to the fallback. That's the whole point. That's how come I said the derp relay fallback. But what I'm saying is that routing could be possible, though. Technically, on the back end, you can make it a variable server. That's possible, right? But then you can only set it one at a time, probably. Fuck. You need different head scale instances to be able to manage that. Fuck. It's globally set, but by user every single time. So it's like you'd be swapping, and then you'd end up using other people's servers. Ah, fuck. I'm trying to think of a way that I don't have to absorb that cost, because it is a lot of bandwidth. Even though it is a fallback, I'm assuming that there's going to be people that want to use their cell phones a lot. That being said, this is technically a desktop service. So it's like, it's for like media management. And so it's like, it's up in the air. Worth noting about though, not this part, because I mean, worth noting that this is potentially not going to work, doing that idea. So, fuck. I have to think of another way to do that. That's for another day though. I still have to address derp relay fallback. I still have not set that up at all or messed with it. We're only a third of the way through the year. Holy shit, dude. Yeah, that shit's not happening. Should a init perform validation of dependencies, tailscale CLI requests? I mean, this is running on, okay, so the tailscale CLI, and then the actual tailscaled, and then requests module, configuration. The configuration manager is part of the initialization, the local setup process, so it has to be set up already. Wait. This is intentionally minimal, but in terms of the tailscale CLI, that's included, the binary is included within the PKG file. Then the request module and the configuration manager, I'm not too sure which one those are, but if the configuration manager is, if you're referencing the configuration JSON file, that's already, the check for that and the creation of that is already handled by the setup process. Like, that's part of it. So you can't get to step 2 without actually going through that would have broken way other like steps beforehand. Like, so you're never getting to this step where you're setting up the tailscale stuff beforehand. And then after that, the request module, I don't know what the request module is. Can you remind me about that, please? Thank you. Oh, that's for API things. It's included in Python. Oh, shit. Wait. So, wait a minute. That's included in Python, but if it's part of my binary, isn't it already part of it? Like, it's already compiled at that point. I shouldn't need to check requests. That's part of, like, the ability to be able to connect to APIs, isn't it? Like for Python, but that's the whole point of having the libraries, because once you compile the actual code, it's included, like it's translated, like all the sub processes of the actual library revolving around the things that you're calling is included in the binary, compiled binary, right? And I still haven't answered this question. I'm just, this is in reference to the previous question that you had given me. In relation to the request module. Yeah, that's what I mean. This py to app right here freezes the type Python interpreter and imported, yeah, third-party library shipped with the app bundle. Exactly. That's correct. All right, cool. It should not be configurable. This is always the proxy API address. But to be honest, in the name of opening it up like this, I mean, that's worth considering in the future. If somebody wants to use their own, but they would need to basically create their own proxies. They would have to basically make the other side of the things. If I ever made it open source, it'd be worth it. But it depends. That is something I'm largely considering right now in relation to making the system more accessible. It's worth it. I would like to, because I would like to help general people. I don't want to, because I know that billionaire companies would totally just take it and run with it, like they did with FFmpeg, like they did with all these other people. Like, it's just, I literally dislike, I strongly dislike those cats. I do not want to help them. And there are workarounds, technically. Like, I know the GPL licensing and all that sort of stuff, how it operates, where basically they would need to open source all their stuff. And then, like, what's the value of software in the next coming years, especially with Mythos being able to fucking reverse engineer binary? That's insane. So it's up in the air in relation to that. No need to make a ticket about it for that part, but that's just something I'm considering. But yeah, it's hard coded. Sorry, that's the actual answer. That falls under the error systems that we need to do, like I said, like multiple times in this entire thing, and I'm going to keep saying multiple times in every questionnaire. We need to basically make new error handling systems for everything still, including this one. This one, there's multiple tickets in here that say that, but in particular for this one, I mean, yeah, same shit. We need, it depends on what error handling systems we create for this step in particular. Ha! We're already on the last question for the file. We're like an hour in. Not bad, dude. If I could get one more done, oh my god, that would be amazing. The log callback mechanism allows UI integration. Should there be a log level severity? I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, well, I still need to actually restructure the entirety of the logging system for this, for it to actually use the real Python logging systems instead of just print messages and instead of fucking emoji prefixes. I mean, that would be the most ideal situation, to be honest. It'd be way better. I want to redo that, and there's already a ticket in place for that, but we should include this question in relation to that ticket as well, please and thank you. I have to restructure my entirety, like the entirety of my logging systems. I just realized I don't have my glasses on. I can't see without my glasses. It's not because of that. I use these because I want to protect my fucking eyes. It's important to protect your fucking eyes. One of my friends recommended me to buy these, and that was honestly one of the best decisions of my entire fucking life. Thank you, Jen. The one and only actual Silicon Valley person I've ever actually spoken to in my entire life. She's a badass. A super sweetheart and super cool. She's one of the first people that believed in me in relation to this stuff and like writing code and all this kind of stuff. She's literally one of the first people. All right. We're waiting for this one to ingest, finish ingesting. I finally have it. I finally have it dialed in more. This fucking questionnaire system, this wiki system. I'm so happy with it. I'm geeking out over these, dude. I wish I had more reasons to make more of these shits, dude. I'm like geeking out over these. I still have way more. I can't wait to dig into the next step of these. These are fucking exciting. I can't wait. I can't wait. Oh my lord, look at this shit. Look at how beautiful it looks. Oh my god, dude. Look how cool it fucking looks. Fuck, that's cool, dude. Look, that's my entire code base right now. In nodes, dude. These are all the tickets. These are all the errors I need to do. This is the index for everything. I almost have as many ticketed modules as I have the actual index for all the like pages and shit. These are all the shit that still needs to get done. These still haven't been made. How is this one not tied to index yet? Interesting. Wow, dude, this looks so fucking cool. I kind of want more repel force, to be honest. Dude, look how cool this looks. Oh my god, dude. I'm so happy. You have no idea how fucking happy I am looking at this. Oh my god, dude, this is so cool. So satisfying. I wonder if I can organize these by folders in relation to what they do. That would actually be lovely. Meanwhile, still keeping this graph form. "22 questions, answered 1, side discussion, dirt per rounding." Yeah, it's done. Oh, that one's a pain in the booty. Wait, I finished the move. I finished move and SFTP shit. This is actually gonna be quick. All right, how many questions do I have left in the entire questionnaire, please and thank you? $447. I feel like I barely did anything today. God damn, dude. That was like in an hour. Settings UI still has a whole 33 questions. I thought I answered a fuck ton for settings. Yeah. Let me see what's left for today. Let's see. If we do settings... This is main browser UI components. Hey, I think we currently have a ticket somewhere in there to make a progress bar. Like a universal progress bar. Can you add to basically place it in UI_utils.py? Or components? That's a pretty centralized UI component file. I believe there is one. There should be at least. I amended it to I added it to a ticket the other day. Like when I was doing tickets, I was like adding random things I was thinking of. I hope it did it. That'd be cool if it did, but if it didn't, I guess it's fine. Yep. Perfect. All right. All right, this is the last one of the night, I think. Maybe this one or this one's the last one, yeah. The last one of the night. Let's go for it. Hit me with the next questionnaire. Wait, conflict resolver. So, I think conflict resolver is in relation to files. Can you go over that a little bit? Give me a little bit of context? I can also look at the fucking code base, to be honest. I can. Oh, these are just UI elements. Oh wait, we're on trash ops. Is this dead code? I think this actually might be dead code because I don't think it actually does anything. The actual conflict resolvers live within the other trash file. If you look within trash UI handlers, it lives in there. Yeah, because if you look at that, it doesn't do anything. A. One more quick thing, actually, in relation to that first question you asked me. So, the other handlers, the other conflict resolvers that are supposed to exist, not just merge, it's also move. So it's like if you're moving and there's like pre-existing files and all that sort of stuff. If you're restoring, if you're restoring, that's where also merge conflict resolver is called as well. But it should be utilizing the same exact conflict resolver as this one. move coordinator. Yeah, the move coordinator. Move coordinator. It's actually supposed to be feeding the variables to that. Is it not currently? I'm still not answering the current question. I'm checking the previous one. So the restore is supposed to be utilizing the same exact move coordinator. Essentially, there is a trash path for that though. For both moving things to trash and then restoring, it should just be basically doing a move coordinator normal, like pretty much like it should operate normal. Like it's, so that should be fixed. It's supposed to use the exact same approach that move uses. It still is using dialogue driven user action. It is, but that's what move coordinator does. And that's what the move button does. It's essentially a move button. It just has a front end of the word restore. Oh wait, it also does have a restore. I'm sorry. It does have a restore function. No, but there is within move coordinator, there is a branch that is just for the restore function, where it basically is populating the destination with the deleted from inside of the database. Why are you not? I keep needing to remind you, but you're not formatting any of this stuff correctly. It's so wide. This is so much better, dude. I was wondering why I'm spacing out when I'm reading. I'm like, why am I spacing out when I'm reading? And it's because the fucking long ass lines. I fucking hate reading long ass lines, dude. I don't know if that's like an ADHD thing or what the fuck, but like, goddamn, this is so much. I find it so much better when I have like 3 words, 3 words, 3 words, 3 words. Not literally 3 words, but you get what I'm saying. It's like, I just can't do the fucking. I like the little. All right, If the SSH delete command fails partway through the file list, is there any partial failure handling? Okay, so this is another thing. We need to update this to be utilizing the SFTP tools for this. We already have them built out. It should be using the delete tool that we have. And then in there, we do actually need, but then again, this also ties back once again to the actual SFTP tasks that we're going to be running. It's not going to be built around actually touching the actual doc on SFTP. It's going to be automated through Watchdog. So honestly, as of right now, we should definitely update this to be SFTP because all commands to the doc have one source of truth, and that's SFTP. That is the files and the functions in there on the back end. But I think that we have to update the query deleted from both, but the one thing is the error handling should be in the central source of truth. So it should never be like this has this type of error handling for deletes and then this one has another type of error handling. They should all be like the error handling should be in the centralized function. I wonder if anybody's actually watching this. Nah. Hold on a second, I need to update this. We're not 47 minutes live, we're live for like an hour and change. There we go. Now that's accurate. Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Undo. Fuck. Wait a minute, undo. I misread the last question. Hold on. No, deleted from all that stuff. I'm sorry, undo that. That is supposed to work through SSH SQLite 3, but there is also a read method that exists within the Watchdog. So that should be accessing through that, or however else. I don't actually remember. How do I have my current architecture built out for Watchdog reading? I can't remember. For database reading, not Watchdog reading. Fuck. Okay, I definitely need to update that for database reads, but even then, the restore eventually is going to go through the watchdog anyway. So it's like all of the current SFTP actions that currently exist for move and everything like that is going to live within the watchdog. So it's like the watchdog is going to be handling all that shit. It's just going to basically retrieve functions and actions that are basically, the app side is essentially going to just organize commands to send to the watchdog, and the watchdog handles it. That way everything lives on the doc side in terms of all data management. In the case of any kind of connection errors or anything like that, you mitigate all that shit like that. So honestly, in terms of the read, you can just type instead of actually typing it to the. Yeah, okay, so fuck. Can you ask me the question again now? I was misreading that in relation to what it meant. See what happens when you have things shorter like this shit? It works. I'm telling you, this shit makes a difference. I wasn't even answering the right question. The whole read path is eventually going to get, not replaced though. There should be an API that gets built, to be honest. That way it can just simplify and centralize it to a single location. You don't have to keep calling SSH, SQLite 3, all that shit. Basically, it just puts in the request to the watchdog. Watchdog outputs the. Nah, I feel like is that over engineering it? Should it just be able to just read? But then we should have an SQL reading function that is globalized. Accessible globally. Accessible globally. And then that could live somewhere like that. I mean, either or, you end up kind of making a function around something. I think I can justify having an API function, because then I could put the other API function for the app side on that. And honestly, I'm gonna end up making a doc API anyway. That might be worth considering. I think that's gonna be the new architecture. Let's do it. So basically, there's gonna be a doc API that handles all. It's not gonna be through the watchdog, but you're gonna be able to make the SQLite 3 requests through the doc side API proxy. Or not proxy, op API. And then you could read from there. But the only reason why you're reading and querying deleted from is for restore. I still don't understand the question. Or am I answering the question by saying by mentioning this API thing? Just sideways. Alright, current state, query deleted uses raw SQL string interpolation with that. Escaping nor parameterization. Risk is bounded today by the SSH. Your answer. Don't bother parameterizing the current form. It's going away. New architecture. Only current caller of the query deleted from is the restore flow. So this read is specifically tied to restore two confirmations before a file. A is the a file. This is a new ticket. Retire by yes. Yes. B. B. Kind of. The watchdog is not really associated with the actual feeding of the data. So it's just going to be reading off of the database itself. It's basically blind. It's not serving data. It's basically like it's handling tasks within the actual doc itself. That's what that's doing. No. Wait a minute. Don't update memory. Why are you updating your memory? This is only associated to any... Wait, what do you say? What do you put in your memory? You should not be memorizing anything about this project. Everything lives inside of the doc, inside of the wiki. Exactly. No, wait. Why are you... Okay, so that's not a project. So that project watchdog owns data plane.md is not its own separate thing. It should be a ticket. Don't take liberties with how you do this stuff. You should only either be doing intent file writing or questionnaire file writing, or documenting tickets. That's literally it. So this project watchdog owns data plane is a ticket. That is a whole feature that we need to work on. I feel like this convoluted and confused everything like crazy. Can you give me a little bit of more of a blurb on each one of the things that you did just now? Because I just see list items, but it doesn't mean anything to me. Yeah, this is why I keep asking you to please not update your memories. Like, you should only ever update your memories if I explicitly have a problem with something you're doing. Like, for example, like the formatting of your responses, that is important to me. But that's a general Claude experience. You're trying to memorize things about the project, but we're building a wiki specifically so you don't have to do that. File removed from disk. Cool. Right. Nope, 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 nope. So anything that revolves around this project, I mean, this ingestion process is within the actual ingestion process workflow. So the repo_wiki.md, none of that should live in memory. It's even more generalized for memory. For example, if you're the formatting stuff in relation to how I would like the responses formatted, for like the actual like how long the lines are, all that sort of stuff is inside of your general memory. But anything revolving around the project, anything revolving around how you're supposed to actually be writing the ingesting a specific workflow that we're currently working in. For example, repo_wiki, that belongs in repo_wiki. It does not belong within your memory, otherwise it's all over the place. The whole purpose of having this centralized workflow is so it's centralized, so that it's not all over the place. So I would update that. Feedback, no project memory is only for collaboration rules. That's it. For formatting, workflow style, general Claude experience things, that is pretty much all I need. It should not be mentioning the fact that don't save project architecture road stuff map to the memory. That actually, that's kind of accurate. Fuck it. Yeah, that makes sense. Or workflows. Add or workflows actually then to that. What is that one line index entry pointing to the new feedback file? Which feedback file? The one that I just mentioned just there? And awesome, as long as the doc API ticket is already added in there and it's staying in there, that's all that matters so much. So I don't know what either of those files hold, so I can't tell you if they're worth holding or not. And yeah, the test suite stuff, honestly, that has to be within, that's all over the place. I still need to restructure that. To be honest, anything that revolves around the test suite should be within test runner. .md, that's the one that has all of the actual testing rules. So that should be in there. quite annoying. Fuck, dude. Let's do that. Let's hold off on that for now. We'll make a note of it. Actually, if you could make a ticket regarding that, that would actually be very helpful too. But afterwards, let's go back to the questions. None should be recommended by default because that's up to the user. Sometimes they might want to replace, sometimes they want to keep both, sometimes they want to skip and delete it. And if they skip, they might end up deleting it in a future date. So none of them should be recommended by default. It's purely based on cases, case by case. Can you also give me a number of the question that I'm on in relation to the entire list of questions for the file, please? Thank you. Actually, also add that to the questionnaire section, that when it asks me a question, it gives me a full, like, it gives me like the number of the question in relation to all the questions in the file questions. Or pending questions. Awesome. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, back to the questions. That's already defined by move coordinator. Should the confirmation dialog display count name sizes? Not really. I mean, total size maybe. I mean, sure. When you say count, you're talking about total file counts within a folder or total items in general. Like, let's say if you have 3 folders, would it say, like, if you're moving 3 folders to the trash, it would say 3 folders and then how many items inside of each folder, or total the amount of items and then the total size? I mean, the total size I can totally see. Names maybe for like the first fucking like 5 or some shit, but like honestly, names of what? If you have 3 folders, how do you pick between the names of the folders to display or the names of the files and folders? How do you do, like, there's a lot of other semantics in relation to that too. So maybe not names count, yeah, but then you'd have to show count of folders, count of files, or do you do count of folders and then the number of files per folder as well? That's the other side. Total size, once again, I think that would be worth it. That one would be for when you're moving things to trash. And then having additional warnings, nah, dude. I mean, it's that's the whole point of the trash, and that's the whole point of restore button. If you move something to the trash that you're restoring, that you plan on restoring, and you're like, oh shit, I didn't mean to move that, then you can move it back. You know, that's the whole point of the trash. No, because the restoration is available, but I have 2 safeties for the actual delete. So then it says, do you want to delete? And then it says, are you sure? Because it's gonna be, you can't restore this data. So there's 2 safeties for that. But in terms of recovering it eventually, restoration options, I mean, honestly, I guess it would be worth to mention, it's like you can also restore it if you want to put it back, but the delete button is right next to the restore button. You know, it's like there's like the 2 buttons, like literally in the UI, they're literally right next to each other. So I don't know if that's like, I specifically mentioned in the second one that this is a permanent delete and you won't be able to recover any of the data that you delete there. Like I say that within the second warning message. There's 2. I just want to make it a pain in the ass to delete. To be honest, here's one more thing that might be worth adding to the question 6. So to that might be a ticket, maybe. So like having some sort of like checkbox that you have to actually click to say, I confirm that I want to delete this, and then have to hit the OK button right after, just as a final safety in case you accidentally do the double click. That would be the only other safety I'd be down to actually add, to be honest. Well, I kind of answered that question with the previous request to add the BT 297. I mean, honestly, the reason is you don't want to accidentally, it's a permanent delete. So you do not want to have that be behind an accessible wall. Like in the sense that like you want to make sure that it's not accidental. That way it's like, it's your fucking decision to do this. You could back this up if you wanted to, but or you had the space to, but deciding to delete it is a deciding to delete it. You know, it's like that. That's why it always, like every single great system I've ever seen has a very annoying, like permanent delete system. It's just an extra safety, and I even made it more annoying by having a checkbox gated on top of that. Because it's, I mean, even that's even how GitHub works. If you want to delete your repository, you can't just delete your repository. It's like, it's so annoying to do that. I've done it before. Like deleted repositories I no longer need. It's not a bug, it's a feature! I don't know why there would ever be accidental deletes, but there should be some sort of added error handling. But once again, any kind of this kind of permanent delete is going to exist on Watchdog side. So it's going to be Watchdog handled with the queue of, like the same way that SFTP tasks are going to be handled for the next wave of the next feature that I'm going to be building out. It's important, dude, because it's like you can technically have it live app side. But the thing is, if there's ever a power outage, if there's ever any fucking weird shit, you need a way that it can live, because otherwise it lives in memory and that shit's temporary. You need that shit living somewhere permanently until it's executed. For question 8, can you also reference, and also for 294, can you reference the other, there's another thing that mentions like the Watchdog SFTP architecture rebuilding for all actions like that. Can you check and can you reference that one in particular? It's 10 p.m. dude, I gotta go to bed soon. I've been here for 2 hours already. Fuck. Okay. This is another thing that needs to be added to that Watchdog feature. This is actually another really big one. But there's no safety currently for an infinite loop. But honestly, the trash recreation function is important. and it does need to live here, but it should be built on the actual function that actually initially builds the trash, instead of having its own separate function. So this should reference the other SFTP function that actually builds the trash, but also, once again, this is something that needs to be added to the restructuring of the architecture regarding the handling of actual local doc tasks. Which I believe, if you look in the tickets in relation to BT222 and stuff like that, I believe there's another one that talks about moving the trash building process to the watchdog as well. Because if that handles it like that, there's no trash, it's constantly checking. Alright, let's see. We're almost halfway through this one. When constructing the full path by concatenating current path and name, what assumptions are made about the trailing / loading slashes? Constructing full path by the current path and name. This is our execute permanent delete. Plus duplicate. So are you talking about when you create the path for the file that's going to be the deletion file? I haven't thought about this, to be honest. I can't think of what. I mean, the assumptions are that the path is the path. I don't understand what the question is. You're selecting the file. The file has the path. That's part of the SFTP browser. That's fair. Now I see what you're saying. Shit. There needs to be error handling for that. Yep. But I mean, honestly, why can't it just receive the file path from the actual SFTP browser? That's already a variable that you're receiving and is accessible. Like if you can press on a file currently, and then you can actually, it should be handling it exactly how the move handles it. Like when you select a file and then you hit the move button, it should be operating in the same exact way. I think I actually had to answer this too for that. Wait. In relation to question 10, I mean, there is a way to, basically it doesn't need to reconstruct the path again. It is already, like, it already exists. Like, it is a variable that is accessible through the SFTP browser. Oh yeah, you already answered that. You already have that in the ticket. Okay. Boss, now we're halfway through. if the client delete file or client delete folder call is interrupted mid-operation, does the function? It does not. But once again, this is exactly the kind of issue that I need to address inside of that I'm addressing with the current SFTP architecture reconstruction and moving into the actual watchdog. That is literally what I'm doing there. But then also mention for question 11 and this approach, it should also include in this function, when it does have it, it should have some sort of error handling if it wasn't able to actually send the job to the watchdog at all. Like, let's say if it was like the connection wasn't able to actually send. So there should be some sort of like inside of the watchdog, there should be some sort of confirmation I received the request kind of thing there, just basically to verify that it has received the actual request. Verification, yeah, that's the word. What are parameterized queries? I mean, is that in relation? I think that might be answered by the API, that tool that I'm building for the doc. But what does that even mean, parameterized queries? I see. So by placing it as a parameter, like as a variable that is fillable by a parameter. I see. Yes, and then also, I mean, there should be like I said, once I have the API tool, then it'll just be accessing the API tool, and there will be parameters that actually set and file the actual variables that we are searching under. So yeah, I mean, eventually, it's essentially going to be that, except just through an API tool as well. Alright, I think this is the last one for the... Yep. Alright, we're going to go back a couple more minutes and then we're going to finish these questions here. Alright, we're like 9 questions away from finishing. So let's fucking finish. When walking up the directory tree to find a parent trash folder's entry, how is the correct parent determined if multiple ancestors exist in the database? Well, the trash folder entry, there's only one per drive. So it's literally in the root folder of the drive. It's actually determined by resolved roots and also the actual function within SFTP connection, I think, that actually handles the trash creation as well in relation to that. So I think that might answer it. Look into it in the code base, please, and verify. Okay. I have to go to the bathroom. Hold on a second. Be back. All right. I mean, it's a very specific folder using a very specific syntax. Yeah. I mean, actually, yeah. It should be the all the way at the fucking back of the drive, like all the way upstream. And then basically it should not have, it should basically be called exactly what the trash is called. There is a variable that's set across the, it's a global variable that you can actually reference. Like when the trash is created, you can see where the variable is created. Like I mean, it might exist in memory only temporary. It might be deleted by then. That might be a problem. But I mean, that's a function. It's set by a function. It's set as a variable. It's not something that needs to be hard coded. You know what I mean? Like there is a location and a specific path for the trash that is actually a variable. It's not something that is actually hard coded. Yeah. No, I mean, this is very, very like, dude, like what? There's a variable. It's really called trash, all caps. No, I mean, technically, yeah, I mean, it's within there. Maybe we start a, honestly, maybe then we start a database table inside of no, it absolutely is. Look again. Look again. I promise you, there is a function that builds the actual trash. There absolutely is that. Like, there is one. I guarantee it. I know it for a fact. And it uses the variable, it uses a hard-coded name, TRASH, caps, all caps. But like, and then that's what it's used to actually create the trash. It detects if there's a trash or not, and then if there isn't one, it makes it. And then it has the variable for it gets fed the resolved roots drives. Like it gets that. Like, and then there's also the register. No, I'm sorry. Nowadays it receives the registered drives from the actual database table. I promise you, I know for a fact that it's there. But then, hold on. Wait a minute. I'm still not done with that one. Question 13. It's not just a constant name. It's not just a constant trash name. The path is determined by a function. And you can call that function to figure out the actual trash path. But honestly, I think that we should update that to basically include because if you look in the database table for the registered drives, it shows the current location of the registered drive. I believe that's one of the columns. Double check that for me. But So it should reference that, I think, honestly, and then the constant. But either that or the fucking function. It uses you could use the function. That's the whole point of the function. It's so you can keep it as a variable, and then you don't need to call it constant, because what if, let's say, some jerk puts the function, puts the variable trash like the same exact way but in another folder. So maybe we do, yeah, this is also going to be solved when we have the actual watchdog actually handling the trash creation and also handling the actual trashes. That's going to be part of the actual fucking rebuilding of that. I'm going to essentially need to rebuild every SFTP function in watchdog. That's fucking annoying, but it's going to be worth it, to be honest. Because you solve that. I mean, technically it's not a problem I've come across yet, but I've also come across power problems because I fucking live in Costa Rica and we have power problems. Literally at any second, the power can just... Exactly. Can you give me a use case for this? Because I'm not too sure what you mean by this. I see. Essentially, yes. But it should be something worth considering when we build out the parameterization for the API section. Read queries for the SQL database. Seven more. Wait, what? Why wouldn't it be? Is that a freakish edge case? Confirm, but also add that like there's never going to be an instance where the trash doesn't exist. The watchdog is going to literally be hard. I mean, in currently the current functions for the trash are currently hardwired. If the trash is ever deleted, if it doesn't exist, it always gets added. And then on top of that, now there's going to be a watchdog that's constantly watching it, that's going to be adding it literally the millisecond that it gets deleted. So there's never going to be a stale trash path ever. That being said, maybe worth having some sort of error handling where it actually manually triggers the trash to be created. But then what if it's a false positive and then it makes a trash folder in the incorrect location? I mean, then you'd have to have a hard-coded trash path. Then you refer back to the trash path inside of the registered drives, actually, and that would be the fix for that too. Everything should be variable and based off of the database. The database is the source of truth. Some sort of safety like that, meh. Wait, what? Can you expand on that, please? Briefly, like be brief. I don't need a whole lot of fucking. Just summarize it for me. I just and if you want to give me samples with the code, yeah, that's cool. But don't give me like 30 paragraphs. I can pretty much deduce where you're coming from based on that. Original path, inferred truth, exact path, imagine, trust it. Inferred truth, walk parents, inferred by, pending, deleted from, best guess. If the caller gets inferred truth, should restore just go, warn the user? Well, I believe there's actually error handling for that in the case that the deleted from doesn't exist anymore. There is actually error handling for that, I believe, already built into this, where basically it automatically goes to home, which would be the root of the drive. Of course I'm right. My cousins used to make fun of me for listening to this kind of music. They're like, this is like fart music. It does sound like farts. But it's dirty, I like it. I mean, shit. If the remove SQLite command returns malformed output, how will the parsing of fail? And wait, why would it be malformed? Why would it be malformed? Isn't it just returning what is in the column row? It should not be restructuring it. It's not manipulating it or changing it in any way, shape, or form. I guess save it. Yeah, go for it. I just wasn't aware that that's a realistic failure in the pipe character for the file name. I was not aware of that. I see. That technically is a pretty freakish character for anybody to use within a file name, technically, or folder. To be honest, yeah, it is legal in Linux, and technically it can break the SQL return because I see. Yeah, because you actually need to parse the actual data from the SQL database. That's freakish. That's a pretty big fucking problem to not have an entire character you can use. I guess we should make that character illegal for file naming, but then again, there's a way that we're gonna have it so you don't have to work within the UI. So that's gonna be pretty much null and void anyway. You can't really take that or fix it in any way, shape, or form. It is what it is, I guess. And then we'd have to figure it out for when we figure out the API stuff. That would be, yeah, API bound parameters. Go figure. That's actually a pretty good one. But I could totally see how it breaks it. Four more left. What? Is this for SQL? There's no resource leaks if an exception occurs between. No, I don't know. I don't think I ever added any. Once again, most of this is revolving around the happy path, but to be honest, that would be worth adding. But I wasn't even aware that that would be like something that could even happen. And can you give me some cases where that's possible? Once again, if it involves fucking Paramiko, this might be fixed with the fucking API tool. Yep. This is worth noting under BT294, yes, without a doubt. And yeah, I think this is not worth a dedicated ticket. But this is still an issue that can occur even on the API side. Now where we're making this stuff in the actual API side, this would actually still be an issue there, wouldn't it? Same with the other questions. Pretty much anything, any of the questions that you have found, have come across, all of these are issues that could technically occur on the API side still. You're just offloading it to that side, essentially. So all of those issues should be mentioned inside of that ticket, including like the one that revolves around this character. In the most recent question. So all of that is stuff that needs to be addressed inside of the actual API SQLite tool for the database. It's still things, it's still problems that can occur. Exactly. And that involves every single SQL, like every single SQL inquiry, either write or read. Well, not write anymore because now all the writes are handled, but all the reads. before we answer this question, can we just make sure that all of the reads that revolve around the new API tool and like basically the stuff that mentions that this is solved by the API tool now is also mentioned as an error that we need to compensate for within the actual API tool for SQL reads? I trust you. I think that's pretty much all of them. It looks about right. Worst case scenario, we'll come across it later. Trust. All right. Let's keep going. I believe the pathwalk termination condition correctly handles that ambiguity. But I don't think that there would be redundant paths. I can't see how there would be one. And is all trash routes being fed through all resolved routes, or is it fed through the register drives? How is that fed currently? Because there shouldn't be redundant paths. It's live. It's fresh variables. No, but I mean, but resolved roots, doesn't resolved roots? But quick question, doesn't resolved roots doesn't resolved roots, hold on, I gotta fucking let me read that. Yeah, it's effectively impossible in practice. File systems. You can't return duplicate entries under the same, but also bypasses the database, which conflicts with the database being the source of truth principle emphasized earlier. That's okay. I think resolved roots, does it get fed by registered drives? Or is it just the trash creation that gets fed registered drives? I'm still in question 19. I haven't moved on. And this, my friends, this shit is the reason why we don't depend on fucking the conversation context, because now all of this shit is gonna get hallucinated down to a fucking That's the reason why. That right there, this right here is literally the reason why. See how important that shit is? How fucking scary that shit is? Would have been all fucking gone. Oh! Oh my god! That's a hell no! Oh shit, she broke her fucking leg! Oh! Oh no! Oh, fuck that shit! Oh, I'm gonna puke. Oh my god, dude. I do not want to see that. Why the fuck? What? Instagram, what the shit, dude? Hell no. Oh my god, dude, I can't get that image out of my head. What the shit, Instagram? I have my shit, like, this is like for my business account, so it's like nothing's like edited down yet in terms of like the context for like the content it's supposed to show, because my shit's like super like PG. Like, I don't want to see gross stuff. I don't want to see like limbs breaking. I don't want to see any of that fucking gnarly shit. I completely forgot that Instagram showed that kind of shit. Oh, what the fuck, dude? I feel like I'm gonna puke. Oh my god, I literally can't get that shit out of my head. Oh my god, dude. This is affecting me. I'm sorry. This is crazy. So basically, the trashes haven't been updated to resolve trash folders from the tracked drives. It's called registered drives. That's the actual table name. Fuck, dude. Oh. Whew. Yeah, and include anywhere that has anything to do with the trash creation or trash referencing or any of that kind of stuff to this. Solid. You see how fucking great it is to have a fucking wiki? Do you see how fucking useful and great that is? It thought about shit I'd forgotten about completely, entirely. Brilliant. Let's get it moving. Let's go, Buttercup. Why 4 distinct methods instead of one generic resolve operation? There should be one generic resolve operation. It's UX divergence, without a doubt. Also, type safety, because each method has its own signature and return shape. Everything has its own stuff, and it's also UX divergence. It also grew organically as features were added, but there is strong intentional design behind it as it grew. Should the subclass of conflict resolver maintain state between method calls and apply to all remaining conflicts flag so the user only answers once per batch? No, conflict resolver is per action that is going to be created. So it's like, for example, like let's say you're restoring and then it goes to there's a conflict, a move conflict that comes up, right? And it goes through move coordinator, and then there's like you handle each task as it comes up. So it's like if you're merging and there's like submerges and submerges and all that sort of stuff between actions, like you have to be able to decide what to do with everything. Because even if you pick, like let's say if you're restoring multiple files, you should pick once per file what to do with every file. You can't just make a general decision for everything. That would be irresponsible and bad design. And that's not over engineering it, that's just straight up bad design. I mean, having a reply to all situation, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, technically. That could be useful. I can see that. That's what the OSs do. But yeah, see, I guess it's like you pointed right there. Yeah, move coordinator should track the apply to all flag as well. I mean, honestly, move coordinator needs an apply to all flag. I wouldn't do it. I mean, I personally wouldn't use it. But I mean, other people might want to. And there are cases where that's the case. I mean, there are cases where that is the thing you want to do. And honestly, the entirety of even like replace and stuff like that, you're not actually deleting. You're not doing hard deletes. You're always doing move to trash first anyway, so it's technically non-destructive even when it is destructive. That's the whole point of that entire delete system. I'm really proud of it, to be fucking honest. No, you're not reading what I said. Wait a minute. Oi, wait a minute. You're not reading what I said. Read my response one more time, because you're saying the opposite. You're saying stateless. I agreed with stateful condition. It's B and C. Wait, my bad, it's A, B, and C essentially. So you have every option. You can do stateless, stateful, but then C as well. It should basically just operate how the OSs operate. I just bombarded it with like fucking 3 prompts one right after the other. Poor fucking Claude. I'm sorry, buddy. But you're Opus, so you're fine. I wonder how much my fucking use has been for the day. To be completely honest, I'm so fucking curious. %42% for the session, 23% until the 23rd. Psh, I barely used anything this week. It's because I've been answering these fucking questions. It's so not heavy on the fucking use. It's literally just not heavy at all. I was at 15% before the last session, so let's see. What am I now? I'm 23. I used 7% today. Jesus Christ, that's low. That is really low. Let's kick off the ingest, and that's it for the night. Then you could push. Git push. Demon just sent me some music. Let's go, Demon. Let's listen to it. Let's go. I actually fucking love this glitchy dry sound. Let's go. Dude, this is so Tipper Mr. Bill fucking awesomeness. It's like Mr. Bill meets Tipper meets fucking hardstyle meets like drum and bass. Well, Mr. Bill is drum and bass, but well, electro drum and bass. I love glitchy dry sounds. Ha! I didn't realize he had sent me a YouTube video. That was awesome. What are you using for your Sims, dude? That's sick. This is sick. I love those sounds, like the fucking. That's like that sawtooth, like. And the white sound, like the white noise built into that shit's sick. It's like you can tell these hella bit crushers on that too. That's sick. This makes me want to get into sound design again, dude. I'm so, oh my god. Whenever I listen to this stuff, it makes me want to be like, ah, I want to get back into sound design. The little synth sounds are so good. I love the little synth sounds. That's like my favorite part here. This reminds me so much of Mr. Bro. Shit, yeah, dude. All right. That's awesome. That was a great surprise. Fucking Damon coming in clutch at the end of the day. Alrighty. So, yeah, that's it for the day, I guess, dude. That was a solid day, I think, overall. And the music ended up. Oh, we're pretty much at the very end of the fucking set anyway. Oh my goodness, dude. Oh wait, what? Weird. So yeah, dude, that's my current fucking repository as it stands right now. Look at that fucking crazy web of shit, dude. What the fuck? This is just literally madness, dude. What the fuck? It's so beautiful and so disturbingly crazy. Every single line here has something. Oh my god, dude. Alright. Shh. Time to go to bed. It was a good day. I ended up working a bit. I watched a little bit of One Piece at the beginning of the day because today is One Piece Day. It's Sunday, so I'll be watching my One Piece in the morning, and then I drink my little coffee. And it wasn't the morning because I went to sleep hella late last night because I've been staying up doom scrolling because I get nervous about the state of the world. But it's okay. Things are gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay, I promise. It's not gonna be that crazy. It's like everything's gonna turn out way better than we expected, I think. That crazy person's gonna be out of office very soon, and yeah, life is gonna get good. Life is gonna get a lot better for a lot of people. Quality of life is gonna go up. I have no doubt. So yeah, I just have to think about that stuff and the good, positive potential of the future instead of the fucking doomy aspects of right now, because some crazy person's basically just trying to wreak havoc, right? So we gotta remember that we are headed towards a more positive future and not to get lost in the doom and gloom of right now. So yeah, it is bedtime and I'm gonna go to sleep. This time I'm actually gonna go to sleep. It's 11 p.m. right now out here. It was a good day and I put in a solid amount of work. I have quite a few questions left to go. I believe I still am in the 400s. Let me see. Let's see. How many questions left to go? 425. Not bad. I think I started this morning with like 500 and change. $19 more files, not 19 sessions, but 19 more files. If I take those 3 or 4 at a time, honestly, I was able to answer those questions today way easy. Honestly, like the rest of this shit is not too crazy. This is not like the hard parts are the back end. Scan utilities might be a little challenging, but that's way less questions to be honest, because that's most of the stuff for scan utilities lives in the watchdog. Ours watchdog right here. I need to refactor fucking settings UI, to be honest. That needs to be refactored, no doubt. I don't like that. I don't like how that was built. I need to restructure. I'm never letting it do my fucking architecture for me ever again. Holy shit. It's good for a lot of things. It's not very good for architecture, having things very like well organized. It will just literally put everything in one file on purpose just because it's easier for it to read it. But if you have the correct imports and all that sort of stuff, it can handle it. It's just, you have to take the time to do it correctly. I think tomorrow my goal would be to finish this 20, 40, let's make that 30, well, 50, 60, 80, 100 and 10, let's say like 110ish. I think I could finish 110 questions tomorrow, and the next day 2. Maybe we add Watchdog in there. Watchdog, this is an easy one. Or maybe we just take Watchdog from there. Let's go like this. 3. I'll probably do this in 3 more days, I think. That right there is 1 day. I know it seems like a lot, but look at how small these files are. This is way less. So we do that one right there. This is day 2 right here. This is tomorrow. So 3 more days of answering questions. I think I'll be done in 3 days. Oh my goodness, but look how fucking cool this looks, dude. Look how fucking cool this looks. Oh my goodness, I want to see the animation again. It's so fucking awesome. It is just so fucking awesome. This is literally my entire repository made out into a web. I love this thing. So cool. I wish this organized it in relation to like sides of nodes. So like how you see how these two are in the middle? I wish this was like, and then like this one right here, because it's like it references so much shit. I wish this had like its own little like like, you know, like kind of like structure by size. Oh my goodness, that'd be so cool. I wonder if you could do that, if you can actually set that there. Node size. Oh, I can increase node sizes. Very nice. Line thickness. Cool. I want no fade on the text, dude. I want that shit shown. Oh, this is fucking cool. The groups I still need to change. I think I need to change the node size, to be honest. That was like too much. Line thickness can go back down. Dang it. Alrighty. That's it for today. Bedtime. Anyway, I hope you have a lovely night. Thank you for joining me. If you joined me, if you didn't, that's cool. If you're watching this in the future for some weird fucking reason, I don't know why you would, but if you are, that'd be cool too. I hope you have a lovely night. I hope you stay safe and warm wherever you are, and I hope life is good to you.